Welcome to Comsverse. This session is called Clobba Advanced Configurable Reporting and Analytics for Teams, and today will be presented to you by Mark Armstrong. Mark, the stage is yours.
Thanks, Arca. Okay, welcome to today's session. I'm going to go over some advanced reporting and analytics for Teams, as Arca said. Before I go into the presentation and demonstration, this slide and a quick thank you to all of the sponsors for Comsverse. You can see there's a cross section of lots of different kind of sponsors, and of course thank you to Mark Vale, Randy and the team for putting together such a great event. So what I've done in the session today, I will initially start going through some slides and then open up the software and give you a brief demonstration of the software. If any of the attendees on the call have got any questions as I'm going through, feel free to either put them in the question text box or feel free to ask them at any time. Before going to Clobba, I'm going to give a brief overview of our portfolio of solutions and then kind of dive in and focus on Clobba. So Clobba was actually released back in the summer of last year. It superseded our previous product, a product called Use Analytics. What we did is we designed and developed the solution. We obviously consulted with our existing customers, really to ask and inquire how they were using the reporting that was available with Use Analytics. And really the feedback that we got was that as a reporting tool, it's fine. It generates the automated side of the reporting, generates reports, distributes them via email on a user-defined basis, which is great. When customers were using the product or users were using the product, they effectively wanted quick and easy access to relevant data. So we've very much taken that on board and made it a very user definable solution. I think the other thing is every organization that's using Teams and even every employee that's using Teams are going to have different reporting requirements. Now, historically, that's really been the IT admin. So call quality has really been an essential element of reporting, whether that's going back to Skype for Business, Link, or other platforms. Call quality has been essential. I think over the past few months, with the unprecedented move to home working, the rapid deployment of Teams as well to facilitate the home workers, that kind of whole reporting requirement has changed quite dramatically. So what we're finding now is, although the IT admin still have that big requirement for call quality, it's very much a business requirement as well now. So the transition to the home workers has meant there's been possibly concerns about business continuity. So productivity and performance of employees is really paramount to ensure that consistent level of service to customers has been retained with the deployment of Teams. So we certainly do focus quite heavily on both employee productivity and user adoption as well. User adoption, again, really relevant because of the I suppose the rapid deployment of Teams, which is great. There's all the associated business benefits, but in reality, if end users aren't adopting the technology correctly, then many of these benefits aren't going to be realized. So within Clobba, again, user adoption is really quite key. So they're the three main areas: call quality, user adoption, and employee productivity. I'd say there probably is a fourth area that we look at with the reporting, and that's call costs. So there is a rating engine within Clobba. We can upload carrier tariff tables into the software, cost of calls, and the typical use case for that is distribution internally to the different cost centers for payment and management of the call costs. As I said before, go into the Clobba itself, I'm just going to touch on some other areas. So Code was formed back in 2013, predominantly and fundamentally, we're a reporting and analytic company. It's effectively CDR based, and although our major focus is around Microsoft Voice, we do support multiple platforms. So we can be a centralized reporting solution for multiple data sources. Typically, as I said, it's going to be the Microsoft voice stack, but we can support Cisco via Mitel. We've got support for SBC, so we can get CDRs from ribbon, audio codes, all of the those kind of guys. What it does mean, it brings it into a central tool for that management, for that visibility on that side of things. What we've tried to do since the inception, our inception back in 2013, is really develop a portfolio of tools that are going to manage that Microsoft, typically the Microsoft voice environment. So in addition to Clobba, we've got Clobba DM, which is our device management solution. We've got support for Jabra, Polyplantronics, and EPOS, which is the rebranding or new naming for Sennheiser. That gives a level of visibility around the inventory of all of the devices, and we can do some management such as firmware updates directly to the headsets. We've got a range manager, which is effectively a DID range manager. So for organizations with multiple DID ranges, what this does is it effectively brings all of those DID ranges into a central tool, single pane of glass view on the multiple ranges. And what we can do is effectively do any adds, moves, changes. We can include new DID ranges as well. So you've got that central management of the DID ranges. Clobba MT is more the collaboration side of things, so it's quite similar to the admin portal. We can we've of course added various other features, so you can look at filtering, you can go back prior to the 90 days, but it's really looking at the collaboration side of Teams utilization and user adoption. Really on the voice side, Clobba's your tool for that effectively with the CDR reporting. Clobba VR is a voice recording solution, very simple, easy to use and very affordable. Currently just supports Skype for Business and Teams recording. And then finally, Clobba RT. So Clobba RT is our real-time, stepping away from the CDRs. Currently only supports Skype for Business response groups with these live wallboards, analytics around presence and availability as well. The features are there for Teams. We're just waiting for the relevant graph API to be made available. So we've got that connectivity. So that's portfolio solutions. As I said, today we're really going to focus on Clobba. Clobba is a CDR-based reporting tool. So we effectively use the call detail graph API to extrapolate the CDRs into the software. And it delivers visibility of usage, as I mentioned earlier. And just to reiterate those four areas: call quality, user adoption, productivity, and call costs. The key features of it, again, I've kind of mentioned this search-based reporting. So what we've done with Clobba is really focused on the ease of use and the access to that relevant data. So all areas of the software have that kind of concept applied. We deliver the information in three or four key areas. The first being the dashboard, giving a single view, a single day view, which is typically going to be the current day, but you can go back historically. Now, the dashboards, again, if you're a business user, I don't know, the sales manager, for example, they're going to want to see the productivity, the performance, the call handling. So they define the dashboard to deliver just their relevant information. The IT admin is going to look at more the call quality dashboard side of things. If an organisation wants to look at trends over a period of time, they can do that with our trend analytics. We can look at trends of user adoption over time. We can look at things like the room system usage. So room systems, again, as organisations or employees are starting to go back into offices, the room systems usage is going to be really grow exponentially. So, and I think the reason for that being the reduction in travel, both international travel and local travel. So room system usage is really, as I said, quite prevalent at the moment. We can look at trends of that. We can look at trends of call quality as well over a range. What we can also do, both with the dashboard and the trend monitors, is apply filters. So you can, as opposed to looking at organisation-wide, we can look at different locations, departments, even down to individual users or employees. The software does have comprehensive security policies, so user profiles can be set up, and that's really quite key. So it supports a single sign-on. At that point, you will be, or the user will be allocated their user profile, and we can restrict access both at feature level and at organisational level. So, for example, back to the sales manager, when they log on, they're restricted just to see their sales team's information, and maybe just to a handful of different dashboards. All the reporting is fully automated, so the more kind of static reporting will be generated automatically and distributed accordingly. There's AD integration as well, so all of the company data structure effectively will automatically populate Clobba. You can set up system alerts, so that's more kind of exceptional reporting, and these alerts are threshold based. So I don't know, missed calls, for example, you can set an alert and that will automatically be generated, and really making it more of a proactive reporting solution as well. So why do people use it? There's numerous different reasons. One of the big ones at the moment is that transition to Teams. So as I mentioned earlier, it is data source independent, or we can pull data from different platforms. So maybe you're migrating from Skype for Business to Teams, and you want to track the usage, the adoption of Teams on that journey. It might be Cisco or Avaya you're migrating to Teams to as well, and you just need that visibility of that migration. The other areas, as mentioned earlier, user adoption, the employee productivity. I think at the moment, the employee productivity is really important. As I mentioned earlier, the business continuity. So really things like the use of queues. Now, I would say as much as 50% of our current customer inquiries are based around call queues and auto attendance. There's no way natively to view that through the Microsoft tools. And again, being able to look at the trends, and it really is as simple as things like call handling, the ring time, the number of answer calls, abandoned calls, talk duration. They're really key metrics now to ensure that service level and also that level of business continuity. We can look at capacity planning as well, so things like SIP trunk utilisation. Have you got too many SIP trunks? Have you got too few? Again, you're going to Clobba allows you to make informed decisions around the actual usage of things like the SIP trunk utilisation, and finally that call quality. So you can effectively look at call quality, use it for the kind of root cause analysis around any potential call quality issues. Installation, so we can deploy Clobba either from our cloud, which is Azure based. We can deploy it on-prem. When I say on-prem, it can either be physical servers or the customer or users cloud, typically Azure instance. And finally, we can actually deploy it into our partner data center. It does support multi-tenancy, so if there are partners on the call or viewing this, what they would typically do is install the single instance, and as and when new tenants come on, they would effectively enable the tenants on that side of things. And finally, before I go into a demonstration of the actual software itself, just to mention that Clobba is available on a free 30-day trial, as are all of the different modules that I'd mentioned earlier. Again, that trial can be from our cloud or on-prem or partner hosted. They're the contact details there if you do need to get in touch or you want some further information. So I'm just going to actually open up the software itself, and really, I suppose, for the next 15 minutes, go through some of those key kind of areas or features that I mentioned in the presentation there. As you can see, it's entirely web browse based. This is effectively the landing page. You can see all of the different modules are available from this single application. And what we're going to focus on today is, of course, Clobba. Going back to what I was saying, the search-based reporting is really quite a key element. So users can go in, this is the landing page, and they can go into the search bar and type in either an employee, a room system, a queue, an auto attendant, response group, whatever it may be, and they'll get instant access to that. You can see my previous 8 searches at the bottom there, so including the queues, the endpoints, different employees. Maybe I will do a quick search on myself. So what I'm doing here, I'm searching myself, and you can see instantly I'm taken to this user map. It defaults to the last 7 days, but I can specify a different date range. I get a visual representation of my user adoption, so you can see over the last 7 days, a lot of video calling, a lot of conferences, app sharing as well. So as a user of Teams, I'm kind of embracing all of the different technology types. I'd say my adoption of Teams is probably where it should be at the moment. I can see a breakdown for that time period of all of my different activity there. And what I can do again is maybe select out one of these calls and drill through and get more detailed information. So I can see caller, callee information. I can see it was a Teams voice call. The duration, you can see it was a good quality call. Both caller, callee were using Wi-Fi, and by the looks of it, both of us were using our laptop heads, mic and speakers, so that could potentially be a call quality issue. What we can do is see device types as well, and again, with the large remote workforce at the moment, are they using approved devices or are they sat at home with their gaming headset? So we can do all of the analysis around device utilization. And if you've invested, I suppose, financially in, I don't know, Jabra Poly Estate, then you can instantly or very quickly see that utilization of those devices to ensure both the adoption and your investment is being utilized correctly. So this is the overview of the call. I can drill down, look at some of the call quality areas. So you can see, because it was a voice call, we've got all the audio details, the conversation details. I can look at jitter, packet loss. We can look at mean opinion score, all of that side of things. So we can certainly very quickly get access to the call. If it is a poor quality call, we can drill through and do that level of root cause analysis. You can see the conferences that I've organised again in that kind of date range, and the conferences that I've attended as well. So again, I can select one of them, drill through, get this visual representation of who attended the call, when they joined, the duration on the call, and this kind of overview. So I think with the search-based reporting, you can see within 2 clicks, I've got into really relevant and detailed information. So that user-friendly nature of the solution and that access to data is really quite important, and that really is achieved through the search-based reporting. If I go to what I would call probably the more traditional areas of the reporting tool, as mentioned earlier, we've got the dashboard. We can look at the queues, auto attendance. So I'll just go through these relatively quickly now. You can see I'm going onto the dashboard here, and what we can do is effectively build out or create any kind of layout that we want. So I'm just going to create a 2x2 layout. There could be more or less dashboards in there. What I'm going to do is select the monitor type. So maybe I want some call details in there. This is a tabular-based dashboard. But if I want to see more visual or chart-based dashboards, we can look, for example, at the inbound call handling here. I'm actually going to change the date range. Typically, it's going to be on the current day, but I can go back and see some historical data there as well. So I'm looking call details, inbound call summary. Maybe I want a more call quality based dashboard. So we could look at the subnet quality, for example, there, so we can populate it there. I think what I'm trying to do here is show you a combination of call quality and that kind of performance-based dashboards. We've also got more tiled dashboards. So here you can see an example of that, the answer calls, and what some end users are doing are effectively creating wallboards. So they would typically have maybe 3x3 dashboards up there showing all of the kind of different tile-based productivity. So you can see their average ring time, average duration, inbound call handling, all of those side of things. Now, with each of these dashboards, we can then start applying filters. So on the inbound call handling, for example, there, maybe I want to look at specific OUs or endpoints or employees. Maybe I want to look at the call handling for specific queues or data sources. I apply the filters and that would update the monitor there accordingly. You can even change the text there. So I don't know, if I'd filtered that on the sales department, I'd put in inbound call handling sales. So really definable by each of the users of the software to ensure the relevance of the data. Now, once I've created that layout, I can save it, and typically I'm going to have a handful of different layouts for my different requirements throughout the day. They're very dynamic as well, the dashboard, so I can select, deselect. So I've just interested here on the missed calls. You can see there's 15 calls with ring time over 60 seconds. So I can click on that, drill down and get all of those individual call details as well. Now, when I'm populating this on screen reporting, I can then export that in either Excel or PDF format as well. And those kind of features, functionality are applicable to all of these monitors where you can select, deselect, you can drill through. And again, just get that access quickly to the relevant data. So that's the dashboards. As I mentioned, that's on a single day, so that's given a snapshot view. We've also got that kind of trend view as well. So if we want to do analysis over a period of time, again, this defaults to the last 10 days, but I could go back historically to whatever period I want. If I also can apply filters as well, so maybe different OUs, you might have concerns about user adoption. So this particular monitor will give that high level overview of user adoption. We can look at different sources as well. So if I want to look at the Teams versus Skype for Business usage or different data sources, again, that would be visually presented here very quickly. At the moment, I've just got the single data source, which is Teams. And if I mouse over the different days, you can see the different volumes on the different days. Following that theme of kind of trend utilization, we can look at trends of user adoption as well. So this is the user adoption map. Again, I can specify the date range, I can apply filters. I can see that utilization over time of the different service types of Teams. So you might be going back to March potentially when Teams was implemented, and you need to track over the months that the employees are really utilising the different service types correctly. So you've got the usage, for example, there. We can look at EV, non-EV users. Of the active users, you can then see which percentage or the percentages of the different service types are being utilised. So again, you know, with these kind of figures on the adoption, there's probably not too many concerns around adoption, but it gives you those facts and figures. So if there were issues, you can highlight them, and that would effectively drive further education or training for individuals, departments, locations, whatever it may be. In a similar way, we can look at room system adoption. I think for the sake of time on this demo now, I'm just going to go over some of these very quickly. So we do have the room systems. Again, you can look at utilisation volumes of minutes on days, or trends over a period of time on the room systems. A similar way we can use a quality index to dive in and look at the call quality across the organisation or filtered down. One of the other things that we have done, which is a new feature of Clobba, is brought a level of the reporting on screen. I think, again, that goes back to users just wanting quick and easy access as opposed to those kind of static reporting side of things, that they just want to open up the software and get that access. So we've got a level of data dissection on screen that you can see here. So just to show you that kind of concept, maybe I just want to filter on, let's say, video calls, and they can see it's just populating now in my video calls. I can apply further filters maybe on OUs or employees or poor quality calls. And again, we've got that click through, so I can click through on one of these particular calls there, which are the video calls you can see there. Again, we can do the analysis on the call, and when you open up the quality tab, it's now got the video information in there as well, so you can see things like the frame loss rate and different elements for that video call as well. So what we've also got is the conferences, similar kind of concept to that calls tab, but this is just looking at the conferences. Again, you'd apply filters, locate your relevant conference. So here we can see one of these conferences, who attended the conference, when they joined, the service type they used, and I could click through to get that visual representation on the conferences as well. Finally, before I go into the actual reporting side of the software, if we look at the queues and auto attendance, as I mentioned earlier, this is massive at the moment for our customers, where they are utilising queues and auto attendance features within Teams, really maybe for the remote workers, for small contact centres, IT help desk, whatever it may be. But they need visibility, of course, of the performance and productivity of the queue. So this initial dashboard is showing an overview of the call volumes for each of the different queues. Again, I can select, deselect to filter down and just deliver the relevant information. We can see the missed calls, the unused response groups or queues. And there is, again, click through from this. So I can select out one of the queues, drill through. Again, that date range defaults to the last week, but I could go back historically to a different date range. I can see for this particular queue how many calls have been presented, how many have been answered. So with 7 missed, 98% success rate is probably acceptable. You can see a graphical representation or visual representation of that call handling, so how many have been answered and missed. You can see all of the agents that are actually allocated to that particular call queue or auto attendant, and we can even change the sorting. So if you wanted to see who's got the least average talk duration, we can do that at the highest average talk duration, the call volume, so who's answering most calls, the least calls. We've also got click through directly from here, so if you want to see one of the agents or employees call details, here you can see all of those calls that are associated with that particular queue or auto attendant. And again, you can apply filtering and use that kind of core functionality as well, that is available on all of these reports. So they're a few of the key areas. I will go on to the reporting next, but just to summarise what we've seen so far, we've got the search-based reporting, that initial where you're typing into that search bar either an employee, a room system, a queue, whatever it may be, and getting that instant access. We've got the dashboard giving that snapshot view on a single day. We can look at the trends with the trend analytics, the user adoption, the room system adoption, the quality index. We've got on-screen data dissection with the calls and conference tab. And also what we've just seen here is the conferences and auto attendance. So moving on to the final part of the demonstration here, it's the reporting. And we've applied that concept that you've seen throughout the software of making it as user-driven, user-friendly as possible. Now, the software does come with some standard report templates, but really, I suppose that goes against that concept of making it user-driven. It's very much users telling the software what they're going to see in the reports, as opposed to the reports telling the or the software telling the users what they're actually going to see in the report. So what we've got within the software is a report designer and a report builder. The report builder is where users apply filters, again, to ensure the relevance of the data. Now, for new users, for example, we've also got a report assistant, so you can step through all of the filtering. I think for the purpose of the demonstration here, I'm going to turn the assistant off. You can see all of the different areas that you can filter on, the general filters, inbound, outbound, different service types. You can see here voice, video, app sharing, different days of the week. You can look at the time and costs. You can look at the different OUs, so it might be departmental, different locations, employees you want to report on. The queues and auto attendance, again, you can filter on that side of things. For the more technical side, we can look at different network elements, so things like subnets, different IPs. Maybe we just want to report on the good or poor quality calls, again, to identify potential call quality issues. We can look at different devices. So if you have distributed an estate of the I don't know, Jabra, for example, and you just want to report on the utilization of that by the different employees, you can certainly do that. Call types, as you can see here, that there's various different elements that we can filter on that, whether it's just reporting on abandoned calls, calls going to voicemail, just a queue calls, so you can include or exclude. And then finally, the report format. So the report format, what you would do is effectively utilize the report designer to build or create your own report format, selecting out the different fields. You can apply conditions to the fields. So it might be, if we're looking at productivity, for example, one field could be a ring time range of 0 to 7 seconds, whatever it may be. So you use report designer, you build the report format, and then when you're actually generating the report, you would select out the report format from here. So that's filtering. You can sort and summarize the reports of, up to 3 levels. So maybe you want to sort, as you can see here, I've sorted on organization, unit, and then employee. But you can select out different elements, whatever it may be, to sort by. And then finally, on the reports, you can include a chart. So you can have up to 5 elements on the y-axis there. You can include, exclude charts. You can select out your chart type. Of course, you don't have to go through this process every time you want to generate a report. You've effectively got 3 options. You can run the report on an ad hoc basis. You can save it as a template. So what typically organisations do, they build a library of their relevant report templates, and on a day-to-day basis, you go to My Reports and generate the reports. And the final option is to schedule the report to run automatically, and that is effectively with a user-defined frequency, daily, weekly, monthly, hourly, whatever it may be. Just show you very quickly that kind of concept of the library, so you can see. If I'd save that report, it will come into My Reports, and on a day-to-day basis, I'm just going to go in and actually generate the report from here. Let me just, I'm not 100% sure I've got data. Yes, I have. So this is just an example of the average ring time report. Again, a report that I've generated. And from the reports, we've got click through for summary reports as well. So the different business units, maybe I want to look at sales. So I'm going to click through on that. It drills down to the next level. I can see all of the employees within that OU. And then again, continue to click through and effectively look at all of the detailed information there. These reports as well, we've got standard reporting functionality. You can search, you can scroll through, and you can export in PDF, Excel, Word, or CSV format, or send it via email. On the automated side, so those automatically generated reports, again, that format can be Excel, PDF, or Word format. So I think really from a demonstration point of view, that's probably covered off the key areas that I did want to cover off on the demonstration, and really, I suppose, concludes my session today. So what I can certainly do is take any questions now, if there are any questions.
There aren't. We have no questions so far. So
maybe that's because the demonstration was so comprehensive.
yeah. So if anybody from attendees have anything, please publish it so we can look at it. Well, I guess no questions.
I can finish a bit early then.
The Gary is saying that the demo was great.
Ah, good.
So you probably covered it all.
There you go. Stunned into silence.
Okay, so, well, that's all the time we have for the session today. If you would like to talk with Mark following the session, you can find him in the session breakout area. So please check we have a question. Does Clobba integrate with Teams?
Yes. I mean, fundamentally, it's built around that integration with Microsoft Voice, so Skype for Business, Link, historically, and now with Teams.
Okay. So if this is everything, you can find us in the breakout area. Check the Q&A for the link to join that meeting. And thank you for watching.
Thanks, guys.